When I was 9 years old, I smoked marijuana for the first time. I wouldn't say from a broken home because my mom was like my rock. But I came from an abusive father, verbally abusive, physically abusive to me, treated my family horrible, only cared about himself. By the time I was in high school, I was starting to avidly use drugs, trying to mask the pain. Tried to go to church all while I'm going to a youth group. I'm doing all this while I'm going to a youth group. Youth group was just fun, doing rock climbing and stuff. But back in '98, most of y'all were probably in elementary school, I started using cocaine. I started manufacturing crack from cocaine to sell in Perryton. Perryton's where I grew up at. And I broke up with a girl that I went to this youth group with, and the pastor and the youth leader asked me not to come back anymore because it was bothering her. Like I was in trouble, so I had a bad problem with church. By the time I went to college, I completely gone downhill. I started manufacturing and distributing methamphetamines. That was my living. I was partying all the time. I was taking as many drugs as I possibly could. I didn't want to live anymore. I literally did not want to live anymore. I didn't even think I'd be here. I didn't even think I'd make it this far. And a buddy of mine passed away, and everything went downhill from there. I moved to Arizona, trying to change my life, and was dating this girl. Things didn't work out. I found drugs in Lake Havasu, Arizona. Started doing methamphetamines again. On May 26th, I believe it was 2002, I tried to take my own life. I didn't want to be here anymore. I'd just been spun out for about 14 days. Hadn't had any sleep. And I couldn't deal with the pain. I couldn't deal with my family. I couldn't deal with the pain that I caused on other people. The guilt that I caused from selling death to people's kids. And literally watching good people that I had ruined, I had destroyed their lives and got them addicted to drugs. So a girl that I've been dating comes in there and she keeps me from killing myself. The very next day, 2 days later, I slept the very next day. 2 days later, I called my mom and told my mom I got to move back. I couldn't have a relationship with my mom. I talked to her about it for 10 days. My dad would not let me come back home because of who I was and what I've done. I called my mom and said, I got to come back home. I wasn't allowed to come back home. My mom called my best friend. I moved to Greenville, Texas. I went home long enough to go to my family doctor that I went to in high school so he could give me some depression medication because getting off of drugs had me horribly, horribly depressed. Like I said, I tried to kill myself and everything. So I drive 18 hours to Perryton, Texas. I sleep for an hour while my dad was gone. I go to the doctor. I turn around and drive 6 hours to Greenville. I started changing my life around. The good Lord had His hands around me the entire time before I even accepted Him. I started working a job, working the night shift 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's really hard to go out and have a nightlife and get in trouble when you're working night shift from 7 o'clock at night till 7 in the morning, and you work 7 days a week. So when you come home, you sleep. That was about the time I started drinking and everything, but the good Lord moved me into this little bitty apartment right across the street, right across the highway, the interstate, from a NA and AA building. So every time I get the urge a little bit, I would go to meetings, start going to meetings. So I start just drinking all the time, man. I'm trying to change my life. I think I'm doing right by drinking. I quit that job that didn't drug test anymore, and boom, as soon as I quit that job, I started smoking pot again, which led to using cocaine again, which led to using ecstasy again, and eating just about anything except methamphetamines. I thought that, as long as I don't do meth, which was my drug of choice, then I'm clean. I'm all good. I used to pride myself in the fact that I've been clean off of meth now for 8 years. And just started falling back down that road. I met my beautiful wife along the way, and we were partying together. She didn't do quite the things that I did. By that time, I was trying to settle down, and but I walked around with this tremendous amount of guilt that I had for destroying people's lives. And I walked around with all of this sin in my life. Here I am, trying to change my life, but yet I can't change. And I don't even know the Lord at this time. So, a little bit of time rocks along. Me and my wife, we get married. We're at the bar all the time. We smoke pot all the time. The occasional other things. And our life is just incomplete. You know? And I know why I did it. And I know my wife did it. We're trying to mask something inside of us. We have this hole inside of us that we try to fill up with drugs. We try to make the pain go away for just a little while. And it just kind of compounds and compounds till you feel just horrible. So I had an opportunity. We had our daughter. Our lives started changing a little bit. We still went out drinking. We still partied. I still smoked pot. I was a horrible dad. I am... It tore me up. It tore me up who I was to my daughter. It tore me up who I was to my wife. So I had an opportunity. I met a guy that played with the sleep at the wheel, and I didn't play music at all, except in the house and in the shower. I sing in the shower with myself and my wife. And he had 2 Grammy Awards. He wanted me to come to his house and play some music. So I'm trying to change my life. And around that period of time, my wife goes to a Beth Moore Bible study out of the blue. I'm kind of like, you're going to, what? You're going to a Bible study? Okay. So she goes to the Beth Moore Bible study. I'm doing all of this, and I finally come to her one day, and I'm like, you know what? I need the Lord to bless what I'm trying to do. So let's go to church. My wife runs to the bedroom. She pulls a Bible study she's been doing for 3 months. She's like, hey, look what all I've learned and everything. I'm like, what? Did you just say you've been hiding a Bible study from me for the past 3 months? Yeah, I used to feel me to go to sleep. What have I become? You know, my wife was not allowed. She felt like she wasn't allowed to do a Bible study in our own home, man. I'm like, oh my goodness. And I'm walking around with all this guilt, and I walk in the doors, and I'm kind of like, of the church. I'm kind of like, man, God's going to strike me down in any second. Dodging lightning bolts. So I started playing for the youth group. I started playing some music for the youth group. And I was sitting in my bathroom one day playing a Jeremy Camp song, and man, I could feel the Lord's presence. I'm in my bathroom playing a Jeremy Camp song to myself in the mirror. How vain is that? That's pretty vain, right? So I'm bawling my eyes out. I feel the Lord's presence just coming in there. Him put his hand on my shoulder, and I'm not kidding you guys. I feel him put his hand on my shoulder and tell me, Jeremy, this is what I have intended for the rest of your life. I'm bawling my eyes out, playing my guitar. I'm like, what did you? What did you say? I am not playing Christian music. I put my guitar up. I'm like, tears out of my eyes. I am not playing Christian music.